Hello and welcome to IELTS Band 9 once again. Every day a new lesson. Today I decided to teach you the secret of the speaking and writing as Band 9 in IELTS or any other business writing that you need to be aware of how to use passive and active voice. This is a common error that most people make mistakes. Even in the simple email writing, you definitely benefit from this lesson. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen with you all. More than welcome to turn on notification. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram at IELTS.band9 and make sure that you share this page with your friends who are in need of grammar lesson. One mistake in writing and then we're going to be in trouble. So today's lesson is about passive, active, and perfect infinitive for Band 9 in speaking and writing or any academic writing at colleges and universities or even in business. The first step is using passive voice. Make sure if you're not writing a report, avoid using passive voice because it makes your writing not so clear and it makes your writing boring. But in academic writing, you must be able to use passive voice versus active voice. Many people make mistakes. Many students are confused about that, or they have lapses in grammar, either in speaking or in writing. What I suggest you do, save this page and make sure that you follow through. What I have done on this page, I created a simple pattern plus the exercises that you definitely can have it at home and then you can practice. There are two voices in English grammar that you can use in speaking and your writing. The first one is action verbs or active verbs. If I have the subject or the doer of the action, I consider it as an active verb. For example, I broke the window. You know who broke the window. You say, Maria broke the window. If I ask you who broke the window, you definitely have an answer for that. But if I tell you the window is broken, somewhat the message is not clear. Why do we use the passive voice? For three reasons. We use passive voice not to mention who did the action. We use passive voice for report writing because we don't want to say who did the action, or we simply don't care who did the action. So there are three reasons that we use passive voice. In English writing, we need to use passive voice for diplomatic communication, as well as task one in academic writing, IELTS, as well in general writing, letter writing, you need to be able to create passive and active voice in report writing, as well as letter writing. So the active voice, if I say a verb in the active voice, it represents the subject or the doer of an act or an action. For example, Richard shot the bear. You know who shot the bear. Simply ask yourself a question. Who did the action? You have an answer for that. If you have an answer for that, that is an active voice, which is common in casual conversation and in casual writing. If I give you another verb, for example, the passive verb when it represents the subject as a receiver of the action. For example, I would say the bear was shot by Richard. This last two words are considered as agents or the subject that appears at the end of a sentence when you have the active voice, if you want. If not, you can put them in the bracket in your writing, or simply you just eliminate them to create that diplomatic conversation as I just mentioned earlier. You can also say carriages are built by Mr. Hardy. So you see the communication happens in this pattern. You have verb be plus the past participle of your verb, which creates the passive voice. We have some other verbs that are considered as perfect infinitives. Perfect infinitives could be present perfect infinitive, past perfect infinitive, or future perfect infinitive. Perfect infinitives are very common and they're very practical that I suggest you to apply in IELTS Band 9 writing and IELTS Band 9 in speaking. How are you creating those passive voices in the simple action? I would say, for example, I strike. In passive, I would say, I am struck. So the past participle of your verb, once again, verb be plus the past participle of your verb will create the passive voice. In plural form, I would say we strike. You can also say we are struck. That is the passive voice. In singular form, in past tense, I would say I struck And the past passive, I would say, I was struck. So be careful about the tense of your verb. If you have verb be in the past, that is past passive. If you have verb be in the future, for example, you will strike, which happens in the future. Future passive would be you will be struck. So pay attention to the verb be structure. Any tense that you want to change, you must change the verb be before anything else. It happens in a plural form as well, and the perfect tenses. In perfect tenses is a little bit different because in perfect tenses we have verb have or has in the present and had in the past perfect. We have the past participle of the verb. In perfect passive, I would say, I have been struck. Or in future perfect, I would say, I will, or you will have been struck in future passive. So any changes that you need to make for the passive voice, you need to be careful about the verb be, if it is present, past, or future, but definitely the past participle of your verb. If you pay attention, strike is always in passive, is as a struck. The plural form are almost the same. For example, you will have been struck. The next lesson that I'm going to continue with you is in my next video is perfect infinitive passive voices. Follow me on Instagram, #IELTS.band9 for IELTS tips, idioms, vocabulary, every day, more than few lessons. And also don't forget to subscribe, turn on notification on my page on YouTube for more lessons. Have a great day and I'll see you soon.